Hello and welcome. Today we're exploring the human side of cities, how everyday life, small urban moments and informal practices shape the way our cities truly work. I'm very happy to be joined by Dr. Oksana Zaporozhets, a sociologist and urban scholar with more than 2 decades of experience studying how people live, feel and interact in cities. Oksana, thank you so much for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for having me, first of all, and then thank you for your question. And as you said, there was the moment in my life when I started researching cities. And the moment was in the early 2000s. I spent almost a year in the United States. Before going to the United States, I lived in Russia in a quite big industrial city in Samara. So after spending almost a year in the US, I came back and I just realized that the city I used to live in, changed. The changes were massive, like really intensive, and I decided that I need first to picture them, to take photos, as many as I can, and then to research them, because Samara used to be a huge industrial Soviet city, but all of a sudden it started turning into consumerist capitalist city, and I just decided I need to study that. So that's how my interest started. That's actually a great question. And several years ago, I think I would have studied with some justifications or apologies. Sorry, we are studying everyday life because of that and that. But today, I think I got empowered by some feminist scholarship. And I would like to turn your question around, because it's like not just your question, it's typical question. Why should we study everyday life instead of infrastructures or like big development project? And I would say, why should we study big development project? Why we normalize them? So my question would be, why should we focus only on big development project? Because everyday life, with its complexity, with its diversity, it's actually the life everyone lives in, right? So it matters for lots of people. And the other thing, it's not only humans that matter, because everyday life, let's think about this. So it's, I don't know, it's some material structures that surround us, right? So it's like the quality of payment, it's trees, it's parks, it's weather, rain and wind, which matters, right? And it's also part of everyday life. So I would rather say that complexity and the acknowledgement of multi-species that cohabiting the city what matters. And I think this kind of infrastructure focused or functionality focused ideas or perspective on the city. So it was not always like that. And it, I think, emerged historically. And this huge shift to perceiving city as something functional, as infrastructures again, as housing, as something else. So it started mainly like with modernist era, right, in 90s, but mainly in 20th century, when people started being treated like as functions. So the idea was to provide human beings with some basic goods, like housing, roof over the head, like bed for sleep. But humans are not limited to our functions, right? Of course, we need sleep, of course, we need bed, but at the same time, we are feeling humans, right? And it was situationist, like French radical leftist group, who said that city is not only about functions. It's actually humans' emotions and humans' experience what matter, because people could be depressed with the quality of the environment, of the built environment. People could be unhappy in monotonous like districts, and it's their feelings that should be taken into consideration. So functionality was not always the point, and we should treat it respectively, and we should not be limited in our perception by this functional scheme. And I think feminist scholarships. Well, thank you. It actually, well, the book Microurbanism, it was published in 2014, I think, and it was co-edited by me and Olga Brednikova. So it's like about experience, urban experience, mainly, I think, in Russian cities. Why I'm talking about the date, I think it's important to understand what actually affected our ideas. And let me start also with some personal experience, right? Because I think it matters in this particular case. So 2010s. Right, in academia in Russia. So nobody actually thinks that cities are something important. Like, really, I understand that it sounds quite bizarre, but it was the situation of the time. So we did not have any money on our project. And what could we do in this situation? Obviously, we could study our own experience, right, as urban citizens. So that's how we actually studied. And this book focuses mainly on the experience of many scholars at that time based in different Russian cities, and who were writing about their own everyday stuff. So, and it's middle classes, it's a particular geography. So, and for that time, in this particular geography and in this particular resource situation, not having money for research, right? So it was really important to say that people matter, right? Well, it was middle class people, middle class researchers, but still matter. And I think in many former or current authoritarian countries, it's really important to remind that like ordinary people matter, right? Because nobody thinks about them, because like for this authoritarian experience, former or like current, right? So it's only big projects, some like elites interest that what matters. So, and it was really important statement for us as scholars. It was also quite political statement for us, just saying that everyday life and people matter. Now we understand the limitations of our approach, but we need something to start, like, you know, we needed this point of departure. So that's why we focused what was interesting to us and what we could actually describe. So, and microurbanism, so the idea of the approach is to focus on some details, right? Some micro things that are the part of our everyday life, and to question to understand what it actually means to urban citizens, because as I said, like everyday life matters. So, and like focusing on particular details, so it has like obviously several meanings, but well, what I would like to emphasize first, it brings like human dimension, right, to our scholarship. It gives you the understanding that like people's life matter, right? So it's like the first thing. And the other thing is actually, as I said, you always have resources to study that. And the third one, and I think focusing on something really tiny. are really important for humans, although they do not understand how important it is, right? Because we cannot treasure like something. We start valorizing it when it disappears. It could be also the case. But thinking about tiny things, it's actually about thinking of the bigger networks that these tiny things are the part of, right? So, and there are different things that matter. Like, for instance, when I am explaining like this approach to my students, I am talking about like, let's think which things in your cultures, in your countries, in your cities do matter in your everyday life, and how they could be involved in bigger ideas, in bigger mindsets or like sets of values. And sometimes it was actually my American students who suggested this perspective. They said, like, when I asked them, and it was like some countryside area in the US, I asked them what actually matters for you. And they said, interesting. So maybe our mailboxes. And I was like, interesting, why mailboxes are so important? Because like many people decorate mailboxes, and it's a kind of the chain that connects like these people to broader world, like to other places. And I thought, wow, that's like really interesting. And we can think about mailboxes, right? Like very trivial thing, very like small thing in different cities, right? So I don't know how is it like in your city now. Now I'm living in Berlin, right? And all our mailboxes, they have like these tiny plates with our last names on that. So it's like really easy to identify you. It says how people are treated. They are identifiable, but also there is a certain level of security, right, in the city. So it's supposed that city is a secure place. Nobody is going to be attacked because like there is like his last or her last name on the mailbox. And think about other cities in Eastern Europe, right? So there could be numbers, right? So on our mailboxes, there could be numbers. So people are treated as numbers, right? We are not personalized, right? So we are not treated as people, just like numbers. Well, I'm speculating, but just to give you an idea. So like this tiny thing is a part of broader networks, and it actually gives us an idea how society or how broader social environment operates. Yeah, that's also a great question. I really like your question. Thank you. So, well, I think obviously people should be somehow involved in designing cities, in developing cities. There are lots of debates nowadays. So what would be the best way to involve people in decision making? So like nobody knows, there is no clear answer. But lots of discussions. So my point, I think that's not really possible to build an environment that is familiar, that is 100% friendly to people, because I think it's a part of our everyday life in cities or everywhere else to get adjusted, right, to something. When we are moving to new places, right, we have to get adjusted, right? It's a part of our experience. And it also a part of our experience just to tailor the city to our needs, right? So, and there are beautiful books on how people are moving to new urban districts and how they make this urban district like the part of their identity, the part of their life. So, and like, for instance, let me mention maybe Francois Gaillard, book. So it's like Step by Step. It was written in the end of 1970s, and it actually studies how people making homes, right? And how they are getting adjusted to the places they are living in. It's about new urban areas. So, and there is a quite profound scholarship on new urban areas. So I think we should not limit people desire or like experience to adjust to new places. It's a part, and sometimes it's fun. It's not fun when nothing functions in new areas, but like making some place yours, yeah, it's important. Like think about that as adjusting to some new place, right? We want to buy or to find furniture, right? We want to put curtains or like pictures on the walls or on windows. So that's a part of our life. That's how we make place ours, right? And I think partly it's the same with the city. We should not kind of avoid this. Maybe we should praise that and make this experience like really smooth and maybe pleasant. Yeah. So that's the idea. Yeah, well, thank you. And I think the most important thing that I really want to start with that it's really important to talk not about urban citizen, right? But about urban citizens. Because like you asked what actually makes the city, right? What is important for the city. And I would say that it's people and of course their diversity because we cannot avoid like yeah we can't avoid diversity nowadays, right, with all these global human flows, displaced people, right? Like due to some reasons, conflicts, climate change, whatever, people are moving and they are coming to the places they actually never lived before, right? People are moving for their job. So our cities, like at least many of them, are getting more and more diverse. So that's diversity, which signifies the current moment for me. So, and I think we should talk about citizens, right? We should talk about how diverse they are and how to cope with that diversity, how to build, how to develop just city, yeah, that actually respects all interests, yeah, respects, acknowledges different groups that live in the city. So yeah, that's a huge thing, and I think it's a huge problem for many cities around the world because living in diversity, it's easier for some cities and it's incredibly difficult for others. And when I'm telling that, so I'm thinking about cities with right-wing parties, with right-wing groups, and which are not praising diversity, which definitely have problems with living in a diverse world. But we cannot just escape the living with diversity. We are not going to have like any other planet, and like conflicts or changes, they will never stop. So embracing diversity, learning how to live in that. So that's the thing I would say. People diversity, what things that are describe that to describe like the city of today. Yeah, that's a very good but very complex question, and well, I think the so like ingraining digital in everyday life, it obviously changes us as humans, and it obviously changes city and also like environment nearby or far away. And in urban studies, we are talking also in digital studies, we are talking about hybrid spaces. So we cannot talk about physical spaces or virtual spaces anymore. obviously, because we live in this hybrid space with constant switching from online to offline, right, with all these switches. Because like, let's imagine us waiting for some public transportation, right, or trying to find a route in like the city you live, or especially in the city you visit, or trying to find out what is going on in the city, which events, how museum works, or working hours of the museum. So that's a part of our everyday life, or of course, delivery, right, and other things. So that's inevitable for many people today living in this hybrid world, right? So how it changes cities, how it changes urban life. Like, first of all, I think partly it definitely raises some important concerns, some important questions, as you said. So we are getting digitalized, we are becoming sources of data, right? And the first question it raises, obviously, is the question of data protection, digital security. And I think there are lots of debates nowadays about these issues. They're extremely important. The solutions are still not found, right? Because there are lots of leakages, lots of attacks, abuses, whatever. So yeah, we should do something about this digitalization on the individual level. There are some steps, but like, my question, if they are enough. The second thing, and I think it's a kind of consequence. When we are talking about digitalization, we are too focused on individual level, protecting individual, recognizing individual threats, whatever. But I think it's also a power of digital technologies that can not only connect people, right, or connect people and places, but also disconnect people. And that's the problem. When we are thinking about individual rights and data protection as individual rights, sometimes we forget about digital technologies as a means of solidarity. And I think we should also look at that part, because it's also solidarity that either should be acknowledged, right, or should be maybe built or somehow fostered. Because as urban researcher, I study groups of newcomers to Berlin currently. And it's like really a huge of digital architecture, I would say, like huge digital ecosystem that unite people who just moved to Berlin. It could be based on the language, right, or the country like these people came from, or it could be like international communities that help each other, provide information, and do many other good things. So that's what I think, that these groups or these solidarities that should be more acknowledged and more studied, and definitely more supported, because these groups, they really help lots of people, and sometimes they are just unnoticed by authorities, although they kind of, in some situation, they substitute like functioning institutions. Like, some institutions should provide newcomers with information, but they didn't manage to do that. So it's like these online groups that provide people with the information they need, and some like advice how to deal with new situation. So like, not only individuals as data sources and their rights protected, but also groups acknowledging, helping, and like maybe including more in decision making. And the other thing that I wanted to mention, the idea that digital things, they are not like some like magic clouds that exist somewhere. Digitalization, it's also about infrastructure, right? Data centers, electricity, and it's a huge problem, or it's gonna be a huge problem for the cities, because you need to produce electricity, and in many countries it actually means that the source of energy should be identified, or like in some countries it's about windmills or solar batteries. So but definitely they occupy some space. And so welcome to industrial revolution, welcome to England, or like before industrial revolution, like this idea of eviction people from their land, right? So it's the same idea now. Installing new energy facilities, energy producing facilities, it also means that some people and some activities could be evicted, and we cannot, so they should be noticed. This problem should be acknowledged because it raises lots of concerns, and people are unhappy that their land is occupied by these energy producing or data storing facilities. So, and I think we should think and talk more about that, because obviously digitalization will not magically disappear. It will stay with us like forever or for a long time. So, and it's like really my one of the main concerns. Well, I think diversity, as I said. Yeah, cities are changing and people are coming. Something should be done about that. There are lots of things that, like, local communities, local authorities, or nation authorities are doing, but obviously they are not enough. Thank you. Great question. So yeah, I was thinking about that. Actually, that's a very exotic city. Maybe I was supposed to say something like, or the more everyday life. So like magic treasure or hidden treasure in everyday life. No, I'm going to tell you about some exotic stuff. So it's Cusco in Peru. It's the city in the mountains. So it's like really at high altitude. It's 3,500 meters, I think, and I visited it like last year, and I was really surprised how living at the high altitude can affect you. So it's like a really different bodily experience. So it was like extremely interesting for me, like really extremely. The other thing that I noticed in Cusco, it's in Peru, and problem of security, unfortunately, and safety. Unfortunately, it's a huge issue for many Peruvian cities. And people in Cusco, they are extremely proud that the place is, well, it's touristic, and therefore it's secure. So like, yeah, it's safe for you to walk around like the city day and night. So really friendly environment. But when I then went to Lima, I understood how security matters, and we should not take safety of our cities for granted. So yeah, thank you. There are obviously lots of wars and military conflicts that are going right now, and we should always remember about that. So they also give us an idea that we should be grateful for the peaceful situation that we are living in, if we are living in that situation.